We'll start with the module 2, that is assembly programming and instruction of 8051. The topics covered are introduction to 8051 assembly programming, assembling and running an 8051 program, data types and assembler directives, arithmetic and logic instructions and programs, jump, loop and call instructions, IO port programming. In this video, the following topics are covered: introduction to 8051 assembly programming, assembling and running an 8051 program, 8051 data types and assembler directives. So, introduction to 8051 assembly programming. In the early days of computer, program consisting of zeros and ones was being coded. This programming language was machine language. So, it was a tedious task and a slow task for the humans, and it was more prone to errors. However, the CPU can work only on binary and also at a high speed. And in the early days, although the hexadecimal system was used as a more efficient way to represent the binary numbers, but the process of working in machine code or machine language was still cumbersome for humans. Later on, assembly languages were developed. So these assembly languages provided mnemonics for the machine code instructions. Also, they had few features developed. These languages were faster in execution and also less prone to error. Assembly language, it was referred to as low-level language because it directly deals with the internal structure of the CPU. Although the programmer should know all the registers of the CPU and the size of each of it for programming in assembly language. An assembly language program, it consists of a series of lines of assembly language instructions. An assembly language program is a series of statements or lines of assembly language instructions and directives or pseudo instructions. Assembly language instructions will tell the CPU what exactly is to be done, whereas directives will give directions to the assembler. Assembly language instruction, it includes mnemonic, that is the command to the CPU telling what exactly has to be done, which is followed optionally by one or two operands, that is the data items which will be manipulated. An assembly language instruction consists of 4 fields: label, mnemonic, operands, comment. The field inside the bracket is optional. The label field, it is used to refer to a line of code by name. Any label referring to an instruction should be followed by a colon symbol. The label field cannot exceed certain number of characters. The rules for labels are: it can consist of alphabets in both uppercase and lowercase, digits from 0 to 9, special characters, question mark, full stop, at symbol, underline symbol, and dollar sign. Although the first character of the label should be an alphabet and not digit or special character. And the reserved words, that is mnemonics like move, add, etc. cannot be used for labels. Mnemonic, that is instruction, and operands, they together perform the task which is to be done, for which the program is written. The comment field, it begins with a semicolon. It can be at the end of the line or on the line by themselves. During execution, the assembler ignores the comments. The comments, they are written so that the program can be easier to read and understand, and also the programmer will know what exactly that instruction is doing. Let us see an example of assembly language program. We have the first line of code, that is org0h. Org is the assembler directive. It will direct the assembler, that is org is the directive used to indicate the beginning of the address. So the number which is after org, it will be the location or address of value. Then we have move R5, #25H, where MOV is the mnemonic, R5 and #25H are the operands. So R5 is the destination and 25 is the source. So this particular instruction will load the value 25H, that is hexa value, in the register R5. Similarly, the instruction move R7, #34H, and then move A, #0, and then we have add A, R5. Again ADD, add is the mnemonic, A is the destination, R5 is the source. So the content of R5 is added with the content of accumulator A and is stored in A, since the operand, first operand after the mnemonic is the destination. Same way, add A, #12H. This will add the value 12, that is hexa value 12, to the content of A and store it in A. And then we have here colon. This is the label which is pointing to the line of code SJMP here. And then we have the END, one more assembler directive. This will indicate the assembler, that is, it has come to the end of the source file, that is ASM file. Assembling and running an 8051 program. So here we'll see how an assembly language program is created, assembled and made ready to run. So the steps to create an executable assembly language program are outlined as follows. First, we require an editor to type the program. So any editor or word processor which is available can be used to create or edit the program. So the editor should be able to produce an ASCII file. And then the source file has to have the extension ASM or SRC depending on the assembler used. In some cases, the assembler requires that the file, that is ASM file, requires the extension SRC. In the second step, the code written, program code written, which is the source file in .asm extension, will be fed to the assembler of 8051. This assembler will convert the instructions to machine code and it will produce object file and list file, that is .obj file and .lst file. The list file, it is very useful to the programmer, though it is optional. It will list all the opcodes and addresses as well as the errors which the assembler has detected. Using this, the programmer can find the syntax errors and resolve the errors. In the third step, the assembler requires the process called linking. The link program will take one or more object files and it will produce an absolute object file with the extension ABS. This ABS file will be used by the 8051 trainers that have monitor program. In the last step, the ABS file, that is absolute object file, will be fed to a program called OH, that is object to hex converter, which will create a file with the extension hex and it is ready to burn into ROM. This program will come with all the assemblers of 8051. However, in recent Windows based assemblers, it combines the steps from 2 to 4 into one step. This figure summarizes the steps used to create an executable assembly language program. So first we have the editor where the program is written and the source file .asm is generated. And then we have the assembler where the ASM file is loaded to the assembler and the object file and list file is generated. And then we have the third step, linking, where the link program is used to link one or more object files and create a absolute object file, ABS. And then we have the OH converter where the ABS file is loaded to it to generate a hex file. 8051 data types and assembler directives. So first, 8051 data types. The 8051 microcontroller, it has only one data type which is of 8 bits. Also, the size of each register is also 8 bits. So if the data is larger than 8 bits, it is the job of the programmer to break down the data to smaller bits, that is of 8 bits. And then the data types, it can be positive or negative. Next, 8051 assembler directives. So assembler directives, they give directions to the assembler and it appears in the program code. So they instruct the assembler to process the subsequent assembly language instructions, define program constants, reserve space for variables. So we have the DB directive, that is defined byte directive, the most widely used data directive in the assembler. So it is used to define the 8-bit data. So when DB directive is used to define data, the numbers can be in decimal, binary, hexa or ASCII format. So when the number is in decimal, mentioning D after the number is optional. But when it is binary number or hexadecimal number, B or H has to be mentioned. Although any number format is used, the assembler will convert the numbers into hexa. To indicate ASCII value, the characters will be placed inside the quotation mark, and the assembler will assign ASCII code for the numbers or characters automatically. Let us see an example for the assembler directives. So this particular example, we have the first line of code org500h. So org is the assembler directive. The number following the org, it is the beginning of the address. So 500h is the address value. And then we have the decimal value in the second line of code 28. So it is not followed by symbol or letter D. Then we have the value 00110101B. So this is a binary value. So it is having the letter B after it. And then we have 39H. So this is hexa value or hexa number. So it is followed by H. So all these numbers, decimal or binary, it will be converted to hexa. And org will be indicating the beginning of the address. And then if we have ASCII character, it will be denoted in double quotes. So we have 2591 in double quotes, so it will be considered as ASCII number. And then we have ASCII string, which is also in double quotes, inside double quotes, that is my name is Joe. And then we have at the end we have END, which is one more assembler directive, which will indicate to the assembler that the end of the source file has reached. So we'll see the widely used assembler directives of 8051. So first we have org, that is origin. So this directive is used to indicate the beginning of the address. The number which comes after org, it can be in hexa format or decimal format. Though if it is in decimal format, the assembler will convert it into hexa format. And then second assembler directive is END. This will indicate to the assembler that the end of the source file has reached. The end directive, it is the last line of the program. Anything after the end directive will be ignored by the assembler. Next we have EQU, one more assembler directive, that is equate. This is used to define a constant without occupying memory location. So this directive will not keep aside a storage area for the data item, but it will associate a constant value with a data label. So a constant value will be associated with data label. So when the label will appear in the program, that constant value will be substituted for the label. So let us see an example how this is used in the code. So the following example will use the assembler directive equate EQU for the count constant, and then that will be loaded to the register R3. So count EQU 25. So this will associate the value 25 to the data label count, and then move R3 comma hash count. It will load the value 25, which is associated to the data label count, into R3 register. The advantage of using the assembler directive EQ is, suppose there is a constant in many places in the program and the programmer wants to change the value throughout. Then by use of this directive we can change it once and the assembler will change all of its occurrence.